I've worked out a lot with resistance bands. I've tested out a lot, I've done a bunch of exercises, and I've been doing it for years. And these are my top 5 resistance bands exercises that I recommend. Now before we dive into the list, I just want to let you know, make sure you watch the video till the end, because the last one I find is the most important and most people don't even do it. Number 1, the cable fly. Cable flies on resistance bands, I feel, are the best way to develop your chest. The best thing about using the cable fly, but with a resistance band, is that you can really get a full stretch of your chest and you can come in and contract. It's so great for developing your chest. It's far superior than doing a bench press. And I even made a video about it if you want to see those details. Now when using cable flies, I find them best with tube bands versus loop bands, because you can really get a full contraction better, I feel, on the tube bands versus the loop bands. So I do recommend that you should have both, but for this particular exercise, I feel that tube bands are the best. So I highly recommend, if you're starting out with resistance bands or you're experienced, you definitely want to use cable flies. Now next, we have the bicep curls. Bicep curls, I find on resistance bands, I just love. The reason is the strength curve when doing a bicep curl, it remains difficult throughout the entire exercise. If you're using a dumbbell or anything like that, it gets difficult at the bottom and it gets easier at the top because you have less gravity force pulling that weight down to the ground because it's more upright. And so I highly recommend that you use bicep curls, and it's one of the best when it comes to using resistance bands exercises. Resistance bands really optimize that bicep growth. Another reason why I like bicep curls as far as using on resistance bands is that it allows your hand to pivot to give you a better contraction of the bicep. A lot of people think of a bicep curl as just being stationary, up and down. But to really contract it, you want to pivot. You want to pivot that wrist. And that's really, it's going to help you with that free range of motion when you're using resistance bands. Now, a lot of people you see at the gym when they're using weights, they're using the curl, and so your wrists are stationary. You're not giving that curve that you need to fully contract it. So that's why I feel like it's one of the best when it comes to resistance bands is using bicep curls. Now I prefer it personally with tube bands versus the loop bands, but you can do them with loop bands. It's just a personal preference. I feel that the tension of stepping back is a little bit easier for me than grabbing the band at the bottom to create more tension if I'm in the middle of an exercise, just for that transition. But they're great for both. It's just my preference is using tube bands. All right, real quick, I'm here to talk about Toro Bands. These are some of the best resistance bands that I've ever tried. I made a video about it recently. Go ahead and check that out. And these bands have up to 350 pounds of resistance. And there's a special offer going on right now for Discipline Day subscribers. You'll be able to get the 80-pound band for free, you get free shipping, and you get the entire set only for $99. It's a great deal that's going on right now. Go ahead and click the link in the description so you can get the great deal on these bands. Now back to the video. For number 3, I love the tricep pulldowns. Tricep pulldowns on resistance bands were a game changer for me when it came to your tricep development. The reason why the tricep pulldown is so effective is that you're reaching up high to give you a really good stretch in your tricep, and that's what you really need in order to get a good range of motion. And when you're coming down, you can go beyond your body line. And that's really because what contracts the tricep is getting the arm behind the body. It gives you a whole lot better stretch. And so with the resistance bands, it's really great for that. And normally, if you didn't have resistance bands, you could only really do that at the gym. So this wonderful exercise for tricep development, you can do at home with resistance bands. Now this is another one where you can use tube bands or loop bands. Both of them are very effective when it comes to this exercise. If you use the loop bands, I find that you're gonna have a lot more tension at the top versus than the tube bands, but they both work out great. It's just that if you're gonna do them with tube bands, you wanna make sure you get good bands with heavy resistance. I highly recommend the Toro Bands. They have great resistance that are very heavy for you. So the tricep pull down, you can't go wrong with that when it comes to using resistance bands for that type of exercise. So number 4, we have squats. And I think a lot of people, they really love squats or they really hate squats. And the thing about resistance bands is that it's going to help you get better and better at squats. And I promise you, if you keep doing the resistance bands, you're going to grow to love them. So when it comes to using the squats, it's great for your lower body because it's going to work out so many muscles. And this is a natural movement that you're going to be doing throughout the day. You're always getting up from a seated position. And this is really going to help you so much in your day-to-day life. That's why I think it's one of the most important exercises when it comes to resistance bands. And the fact that it's working out so many muscles at the same time, you're gonna tear a lot more muscle fibers, which is gonna put your body in hyperdrive to try to recover that. And when that happens, it really increases your metabolism. So in turn, you're gonna burn a lot of body fat while gaining muscle when doing this exercise. Now for this one, I really enjoy using it on loop bands the most. I recommend doing it on loop bands the most. The reason is it gets your center of gravity there straight down versus on the tube style bands, you kind of have to lean forward because you're so close to the door. Because when you're going down, your butt kind of hits the door. And so that's why I really like doing them on the loop bands. Also, I find the loop bands stronger when doing the squat exercises. I can keep my feet planted. I have my back straight a lot better when I'm doing it with loop bands. So I recommend when you're using squats to use the loop bands. I did a review of a video of under sun resistance bands, so I would go ahead and check that out so you can see some good quality bands if you want to do these squats with loop bands. Now the last one, if you're a follower of the channel, I think you know what I'm going to say. I mentioned this a lot, and if you're not, you should be. Go ahead and subscribe. But on this last exercise, the most benefit I think you can get with resistance bands, one that's gonna develop your upper body the most. This is what a lot of people are looking for, is that upper body strength. They need to work out their upper back using face pulls. That's right, that exercise, face pulls. Look it up. I got some videos about it, but look it up. And so what that's gonna do is that it's really gonna help you develop your scapula muscles. That's gonna be in the upper portion of your back. They're neglected so much, but those muscles are used in about 90% of upper body workouts. And if that isn't developed, you're gonna reach these times of plateauing. And when I say plateauing, where you're not improving. What happens is on certain exercises is that you need stability in your back in order to only focus on the muscle in certain movements. And if that back is not stable, then you have a leak in the foundation and you're gonna use a lot of other muscles in your body to overcompensate, which is gonna lead to you either having injuries or plateauing. And so you wanna make sure that you develop the upper portion of your back. And I have some great videos that's gonna show you how to do face pulls properly. But face pulls, the great thing about it is it's for all levels of fitness. I think some people look at it as like, well, I just want to develop my arms, I want to develop my chest. But if you want to do that, you want to do face pulls. And the thing is that it's going to help you understand how to really contract that back too. And so when you're doing your back exercises, it's going to help you with that also. This particular exercise is usually done with a very light band, so anybody can do this. You can use tube style or the loop style. I don't think there's any benefit or any type of downside of using either one. I use both, just make sure you do it. But It's great when you're doing it with your workout. I like to do it after all my workouts. It's a very small muscle group, but it's so important. If this video has inspired you to work out, then go ahead and check out my full body workout. I just uploaded it last week. I'm getting some great feedback from it. Just go ahead and check that out. And if you're not a full body type of person, you like split workouts, I have a bunch of workouts for those also. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Disciplined Dave, where I put the technique in your physique.